So it's been somewhere between 18 hours and 48 hours since we finished forming our dough balls and put them in the fridge. So now about 2 hours before you start baking, it's time to take them out. So if we come out to our fridge, we can take out a dough ball. It's gonna look something like this. It will rise a little, but it's still gonna look a little flat. That's okay. During these next 2 hours at room temperature, it's gonna plump up a little bit more and look more like a dough ball ready to be shaped and thrown in the oven. So while this 2 hours is going on, a little bit thereafter, you probably want to start preheating your oven. So depending on the type of oven you have, you might use a different setting. Because I have one of these old school ovens where you have the broiler drawer in the bottom, the heating elements right there. I just throw it on broil because that's going to be the hottest temperature to get the broiling, to get the heat from the bottom up at the top. And there's really no difference between broil and bake on these ovens. However, if you have a more modern conventional oven with the heating in the top where the broiler is, don't put it on broil, just keep on the hottest temperature that you can. But again, you want to get your oven as hot as possible, and a baking stone or steel is going to take at least 1 hour to probably get to full temperature. If you want to get really nerdy about understanding the temperature of your stone or your steel, just buy one of those IR thermometers you get online. You probably need a nice one that can go up to a hot temperature. But when you take the temperature, make sure you take the temperature of the top and the bottom, because you'll know if your stone has completely preheated or not. So about 1 hour after you pull out your dough and start preheating your oven, you might want to start getting your other ingredients prepped, which brings us on to the next important piece, which is our pizza sauce. So if we come this way, we can take a look at how we make a pizza sauce. It's really very, very simple. All we need is 1 can of whole peeled tomatoes. The reason why we want to use whole peeled tomatoes is because whole peeled tomatoes typically are the nicer, better tomatoes that you would find in a can, as opposed to the diced or the chopped tomatoes in cans that are kind of the lesser tomatoes that are maybe uglier or not as nice. So get a nice can of whole peeled tomatoes, usually an Italian variety. If you want to get really fancy, you can definitely go San Marzano, but if you want to get really, really fancy, you should get DOP, because apparently DOP San Marzano tomatoes are like, a champagne of a very specific region in Italy, and that's the most authentic you can get. But a pizza sauce is very simple to do, requires no cooking. So all we're going to do here is take our can of whole peeled tomatoes, dump them in the bowl with all the juices and all that good stuff. And all we're going to do is add about 1.5 teaspoons of kosher salt. Now at this point, I'm going to use an immersion food blender. If you don't have one of these, you can also use a regular blender to get it mixed up. And what we're going to do is just kind of put this in here, come a little closer and take a look here what we're doing. And we're just going to try to just use low pulses to get these completely blended and, a pizza sauce form. If you don't have a blender or an immersion blender, don't worry. You can actually just, wash your hands and get your hands there and just start tearing up those tomatoes into small chunks, so it's all in a good consistency, a little chunky. Everyone has their own preference in terms of pizza sauce consistency. So for me, I just kind of pulse up the big tomatoes, kind of give it a stir and kind of see the consistency. There's like some chunks like that one's a little bit too big, so I'm just gonna pulse that a little bit more. Give it a stir, and that looks pretty good. So there we have it. We made a pizza sauce in like 40 seconds. Very easy. So it's also important when you start making pizza that you get all of your ingredients prepped to start. So we have our sauce ready to go. In terms of the other ingredients we're going to use today, the next most important one is probably going to be our cheese. So over here, I am using a fresh mozzarella. Fresh mozzarella, I would say, is kind of a dangerous ingredient to do for your first pizza getting used to this, because the problem with these nice fresh balls of mozzarella is they have a lot of moisture in them, and depending on your oven, how long you're baking, you might find it creates a soggy pizza. So what you can do is you could buy the mozzarella a day in advance, maybe chop it early, put it in your fridge with some paper towels, kind of dry them out, kind of experience how your pizzas go. Or to get started, I think it's completely fine to get polio. That stuff, is low moisture. It's still going to come out tasting like, a nice New York pizza. If you get polio, just make sure you get the whole milk polio. Don't get like the skim or the reduced fat kinds. The other ingredients we're going to be using today our a grated Italian Parmesan. This will be a good cheese to add. That'll add a little more bitterness and salt to it. Very important to mix with the mozzarella. I am going to do some classic, just use regular pepperoni that I've purchased from my local meat market. And then one of my favorite ingredients to add some spice to a pizza is the long green hot pepper. I discovered this pepper because it's been used, I think, both at Lucali and Josefina's, two of my favorite pizza places, and that's the hot pepper that they use. And you can find this at your supermarket. Just should be called the long hot green pepper. And then, of course, get some fresh basil to garnish at the end. But it's important to assemble your pizza making station because you're making 3 pies. You don't want to be fumbling around getting the ingredients, made at the last minute. So it's nice to kind of have things all spread out in a way in your pizza making station so you can kind of quickly roll out your pie, top it, and get in the oven as fast as possible, and get cooking and eating as quickly as you can. So we'll wait until our dough balls have had time and temperature to rise a little more and get completely heated. And from then on, we'll just kind of get to baking and enjoying some pizza.